right, guys, we just got done talking about the Les Brown formula, and I had mentioned basically how it literally changed my life. That's not figuratively. It literally changed my life. And of all the books I read, because it was a lot of them, there are a couple books that stick with me over time, and I reread them multiple times per year. And I mentioned that in the video. So I mentioned that there are two books I'm going to discuss, and this is the two books. I know it's three, but there's a reason why really it's only two. And what it is you've got these two books, which is one in my opinion, and I'll tell you why, and then you've got the Four Agreements. So let's start with Og Mandino. Og Mandino is my guy. I've got every book he's ever written. I think it's, I don't know, something like 17 of them, and I've read them all. And he means the world to me. So what is it about this book right here? And when I say this book and I show you two, the fact is that this is what's in this book comes from this. And this book is in the story format. And so, and yeah, I could put myself on the full screen. I'm going to keep this up because I still want you to continue to see what Les Brown has to say, because that is why we are discussing these books. And how I came to these books is through that important concept. The greatest salesman in the world is not, it's not, in my opinion, have anything to do about sales. Now, if you apply the concepts, the 10 principles that are in these books to your career in sales, yes, absolutely, it could have amazing effects and make you the greatest salesman in the world or whatever you want to be, okay? But the fact is this is not about becoming a great salesman. What this is just about becoming an amazing human being, okay? There are 10 principles, and what I did is I typed out those 10 principles, and I made a bookmark out of it. And this has been my bookmark for years and years and years and years on the books that I read. And then I also save this as a picture on my phone. I read these and look at these all the time. So what I want to share with you is what are the 10 principles that have changed my life? Why is this book so important to me? And what this does is, rather than putting this in a story format, which I discussed in the Les Brown video, is what it does is it actually is only the 10 principles without the story, okay? And a little preamble from Og Mandino about each of the 10 principles. So, story format includes the 10 principles. This is just the 10 principles. So once you've read this once, here's how I read it, if I'm being honest. I don't read the book from front to back anymore. I actually go to the first principle and I just start there. And I read basically this middle section, and I read that middle section, which is the 10 scrolls, over and over and over again, and I carry this book with me. If I don't, I just take this book because this has just basically the 10 principles in it. So here's the first one. And here's what I would hope that you'll get out of this is I'm going to go through these 10 scrolls. If you want to apply them to sales, because sales is something that you want to grow in and master, then God bless you. Apply these to sales. For me, I saw these 10 principles, and what I was looking for is I wanted peace and contentment. I wanted to be the most amazing husband that's ever lived. I wanted to be the best husband I'm capable of being. I wanted to be the best father I could be. I wanted to be the best, name it, business and professional. I wanted to be the best human being that I could be in every area of my life. Not one area, not sales, not just professional, personal and professional. Now, if you take that and put these 10 principles in that context, you can see how I could pretty much apply these to either personal or professional. So here's the first one. The first scroll is, I will form good habits and become their slave. Give me a break. That's awesome. It's simple, but it's awesome. If the good habits, so here's a habit, and I'll just talk about my marriage, because we can talk about good habits in the professional side. And I think you can almost come up with those on your own, whether it be time blocking, whatever it is, lead gen, whatever it is for you. Okay. But let's just talk about marriage. Okay. So for me, I had 3 concepts that I wanted to be a daily ritual for me. And they became a daily ritual for me in my early 20s, and they have remained that, and I'm 49 today. I'll be 50 next year. Okay? Some of those habits is this. Number 1, it is my responsibility to make sure that my wife laughs once a day, no matter what. She's not allowed to go to bed unless she laughs once a day. Now, ideally, she'll laugh because of me. And I will help bring joy to her life. But the fact is sometimes it's okay for me just to focus on how do I help put her in an environment where she will find joy? It doesn't mean that I have to make her laugh, but is there an opportunity where I can get her around family, friends, our kids, watch a movie, anything that I know that is going to help bring joy to her life? And she will be so filled with joy that she cannot help but laugh and enjoy. And if we've gone through a whole day and she hasn't laughed, I'll guarantee you she will not be falling asleep that night, because I will keep her awake all night until we just get punch drunk, silly, and we're starting to laugh. That woman's not allowed to finish a day without laughing once a day. And I own that responsibility. That's a habit I was willing to commit to. Now, I have 3 habits in my marriage that I commit to, but that's one of them. I'm not going to take up more time on this and tell you what, this isn't a marriage counseling session. Okay, there are 2 more that I focus on, and the day will not pass without those things happening. But that would be one of them, okay? Now, I also will not break that habit even if we're going through the toughest times. I remember when her mother had cancer, and we were spending a lot of time with her in hospice, and those are tough days. They're not days that are just filled with joy from front to back. I had someone tell me, David, you wake up with rainbows and unicorns shooting out of your ass every day, and we're not all you. That's so far from true, it's not even funny. But that's how strongly they felt it, that they worded it that way. The fact is when we are going through the hardest times, that's when it's the most important for me to focus on keeping consistent with that habit. I'm going to find something in that day, even though we're sitting with her mother and we know we're going to lose her, and we did lose her, is to find something in that day that we can be grateful for and actually smile and chuckle and laugh. That's my responsibility as a husband. That's a habit. I will form good habits and become their slaves. So I form good habits in my marriage, in my relationship with my kids, personal and professional. Now you can see just an introduction of why I don't see this book as having anything to do with sales or becoming a great salesperson. This is about becoming a great and the best human being you're capable of becoming. So, number 1, I will form good habits and I will become their slave. Number 2, I will greet each day with love in my heart. Now, I'm not going to do a whole long thing on each one of these like I just did on the habits one. Think about how you could apply that to your personal life, to your professional life, to your marriage, to your friendships, your relationships with your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your coworkers, your boss, those that work for you, okay? I will greet each day with love in my heart. 3, I will persist until I succeed, okay? I can go back to the first example, okay? I will persist until I succeed with that woman. I'm going to make sure that it is my responsibility to continue to persist until I help her to find some joy in the day, and she can laugh about it and find that joy. And not just find the joy, but experience the joy. 4, I am nature's greatest miracle, and I will act that way. Cannot stress that one enough. That's such a big one. I am nature's greatest miracle, and I will act that way. Not just that you are nature's greatest miracle, and you're not just confessing that. You're also confessing that you not only know that you're the nature's greatest miracle, but that you will act that way. You will act that way. Love that. What does any of this got to do with being the greatest salesman in the world? These all help. But I'll tell you right now, these 10 principles, these are my foundation on so many levels, it's not even funny. Okay? I will live each day as if it is my last. I will live each day as if it is my last. Okay, so this is hands down, this next one, number 6, was probably one of the most important to me when I came to this book. I was looking for peace and contentment in my life. I was looking for emotional self-control. I could talk about that and do a 3-hour session just on emotional self-control. Okay? And that's why, by the way, I started a meditation practice. You can go into meditation for many, many different reasons, for many different purposes. I went into it because I needed something, a tool in my tool belt to help me with self-control in regards to my mental health. Okay? I will be the master of my emotions today. Self-control. I'm going to say that one. I wish I could say it 10 times, but I don't want to take up all your time doing that. But I will be the master of my emotions today. Self-control. Not talking about self-control in regards to eating too much or any of that kind of stuff. I'm talking about emotional self-control. I will be the master of my emotions today. Self-control. Number 7, I will laugh at the world and myself. I will laugh at the world and myself. I will laugh at the world and myself. 8, today I will multiply my worth 100-fold. That one's going to be a little harder to explain just in this little short video, so I'm not going to. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to recommend that you read this book and go through that chapter a few times. The concept is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And in here, they're going to talk about it from the point of sales, but if you read it a few times, I don't think it's going to be a stretch for you to see how you can apply that in your personal life as well. Okay? So I won't dig too deep into that one. Number 9, I will act now. Now being capitalized. I will act now. I will act now. The chapter has you repeat, I will act now, over and over again. And it's amazing to go through that chapter. Okay? And the last one, okay? I will pray for guidance. I will pray for guidance. Now, those 10 principles, I've had people read this book. I've had people not even read the book, just read basically what's on this bookmark and read these principles. And when they do it, this is not one person who said this to me. This is over and over again. I hear this. I go, David, I heard that you love that book and everything. And after I read that book or after I saw those 10 principles, literally you are the embodiment of that. That's not bragging on me. That's telling you that this has been the foundation of the way I think, the way I act, the way I talk, personally and professionally, for close to 30 years now. This has become the authentic me. Okay? So when Les Brown talks about you pick one area in your life that you're willing to commit, reading one book per month over 5 years. Read one book on that topic every month, not the same book every single month, okay? But after 5 years, you'll become an expert in it. Now, here's what I'm going to do is take what Les Brown said and take it one step further. If you do that in 5 years and you read a new book every month, one new book on that topic in that area for the next 5 years, yes, you will become an expert, okay? Probably top 5% in the world like he says, okay? Now, take that the next step further. You do that for 5 years, then you act on that for the next 25 years. So that's my formula at this point. I did the Les Brown formula for 5 years, and now it's been just who I am for 25 years. You can't separate me from these concepts. You can't even come close to separating me. I don't know any other way of doing anything. This is the internal me. Now, when we get to the 4 agreements, this wasn't available when I was 20. Came in later in my life, but you'll see that these 4 agreements, these are another part of the authentic me. So let's dig into the 4 agreements. I hope you enjoyed these, because let me just tell you, and by the way, on the bookmark, I'll just share this one last thing. On the bookmark, I added 2 things that are not from the book that meant a lot to me. So a lot of people have copies of this bookmark. If you ever want it, you can reach out to me. I'll send you the picture of it, print it out, laminate it, whatever you want to do. Okay? But I added 2 things that mean the world to me. Number 1, I like Jim Rohn. I love listening to Jim Rohn and his wisdom. But it says, he always says, miss a day of eating if you must, but never miss a day of reading. Never. Love that. The next one is, and I'm going to admit, this next one's a high standard. But this is my standard, and this is my standard that I want to live up to. And it's not a standard that you can just work a little bit and hopefully you achieve. This is a life's journey for me. But it is one of the most important statements of a standard I've ever heard in my personal life. May not mean much to you. Find your own, but this is the one for me. Be such a man and live such a life that if every man were such as you and every life like yours, this earth would be God's paradise. That standard scares me to no end. I hope you find a standard that scares you to no end, intimidates you to no end, but drives you to no end. This drives me. Every day, every moment of the day. Be such a man and live such a life that if every man were such as you and every life like yours, this earth would be God's paradise. Oh, so good. And by the way, where did I get that? That quote does not come from Mandino, but in this book, there are little worksheets and there are little quotes. That was one of the quotes that I found in this book that Mandino wanted to share with everybody. That's where I found that quote. So I've been working on that quote as my life standard for years. All right, let's move on to the next book. Looking forward to it.